be presenting to workmates than long, but I've been asked to come and do a talk about mobile, and before I joined AMIA I was a creative director, right? And so I come at it from a creative perspective about understanding it from a format thing, like what's the format of, you know, paint, for example, and how do you paint pictures and stuff. It sounds a bit weird, but I'll explain it. So what I've done is I've gone through history. We're going to have a bit of a laugh about the format of mobile, and then we're going to have a look at the AMIA global platform, a quick one, which is brand new, and then we're going to look at stuff for the year 2020, which we're thinking about. I've called it From Campaigns to Products, because I used to work at Ogilvy, and we made mobile apps as campaigns, and now I work at AMIA and we make products. So I'm going to show you like apps, my first app and stuff, and hopefully the story will come through, and if we can go away, you know, getting it, then I'll have done my job. So the one thing the thread that runs through it all is this mobile format. What I want to try and do is you know, get us some understanding of that. So it kind of started in 2004 when you could put apps on phones. We used to do stuff before this, but in 2004 we used to sell to clients with stats, right? So all kinds of slides of stats and handset penetration and handset types, and clients would buy, you know, that. And we also used to have to make about 300 to 500 versions of an app because all the handsets were different. About 2008, we stopped doing that, and we just used to show them this video if they needed persuading about mobile. And the video shows the influence of mobile on shopper behaviour.
This week we showed you a video of a woman who mistakenly fell into the fountain at a Pennsylvania mall because she was distracted by text messaging.
Well, now that woman is suing the mall for not helping her. The video has received more than 1.5 million views since it went viral on YouTube last week. The woman in the video, Captain Cruz Marrero, doesn't think the video is very funny. She claims she was seriously hurt, and the security guard should have helped instead of laughed at her.
I'm just like dumbfounded, and all I kept saying was, I fell in the fountain.
Marrero has hired a lawyer to pursue legal action. The investigation is ongoing at the mall. As to who leaked the video online, you can hear more from Marrero and her attorney tomorrow on Good Morning America.
So only in America, right? But I think we can agree that mobile has a big influence on shoppers, and that video sold more mobile campaigns than any stats. So what we're going to do is go through 3 sections. It's about 40 minutes, but there's loads of cool stuff. And it's change, and we're going to have a warm-up looking at change and how to work with change, which we're currently doing on New Nectar and with the global mobile product. Then we're going to look at the format, which is the real understanding stuff, you know, how to make cool stuff on phones. And then we look at the future, and it's kind of where we want to go in the next kind of 5 or 7 years. 6 insights on the end, so there is some good stuff at the end. Just on change, does the speed of change seem to be increasing at an alarming rate? I mean, in 1960, which was 12 years before I was born in 72, so I'm 43, C.P. Snow, the physicist, wrote, "Up until this century, change was so slow it would pass unnoticed in one person's lifetime." That's no longer the case. Today the rate of change is so fast, and it's increased, the rate has increased, that not even our imaginations can keep up with it. Then 10 years later, in 1970, 2 years before I was born, Warren Bennis, the pioneer of leadership studies, said, "The throttle has been pushed so far forward in recent years that no exaggeration, no hyperbole, no outrage could realistically describe the extent and pace of change in the world today. In fact, only the exaggerations seem to be true." And that was 1970. So his words are more relevant now than they were 45 years ago. And the pace of change is remarkable. So what I want to do is have a really good look at that. And I'm reading this book called Future Shock. Has anyone read it? It's a really old book. I really recommend you get it and read it. And he says the problem is not whether we can survive regimentation and standardization, it's whether we can survive the freedom. And Future Shock is about change and how people get really freaked out and shocked by the pace of change. It's written a long time ago. Toffler states, due to the pace of change, the world of today is as different from the world of 1972, when I was born, as that world was from Julius Caesar's world, which was 44 BC. So in terms of change, there's been a little bit and then loads, right? And basically, according to Toffler, even less happened before Julius Caesar was born in terms of change. In fact, it works out that in terms of change, I was born in the middle of entire human history. And roughly as much change has happened since I was born as happened in the 50,000 years before that. And I was like, that can't be real, you know, and so we're going to have a look at that for a bit of a warm-up. So basically, humans have been around 50,000 years, and we've got an average lifetime of 62 years, right? So that equates to about 800 lifetimes. So in terms of change, the first 650 lifetimes were spent in caves. Not a lot of change there, and a lot of lifetimes. It's only been in the last 75 lifetimes has it been possible to communicate from one lifetime to another. And this is the first tablet. It's from Uruk, it's 4,000 years old. And only in the past 6 lifetimes has it been possible, or should I say, have the masses seen the printed word. So only in 6 lifetimes you've had books. And only in the last 3 have we had the electric motor. This was the first one, this was a dryer. And this 800th lifetime that we're living in now represents a sharp break with all past human experience. All the material goods that we use today have pretty much been developed in our lifetime, right? In this one lifetime. So I thought I'd drill down a bit further. So that kind of adds up. It's a bit weird, but and then I thought, well, have a look at this one lifetime. So this is the first mobile phone. This was 1941. This is the American Army. This was the first one in the UK, 1959. This is Reginald Blevin, our Postmaster General, trying out his car phone. This was the first actual real mobile phone, 72. Again, the year I was born, it's all about me. And basically, this could dial into telephone networks. The ones before this were radio phones, right? So this is a proper mobile. This was the first consumer model. Probably remember the brick. So this is Martin Cooper. You can't just have a cupcake and leave. That was Fraser, wasn't it? Cheeky. Unbelievable. Martin Cooper with he's not going to learn anything. Martin Cooper with the famous brick, right? And yeah, we all know that. This was the first mobile phone call on television, 1988. This is Frank Picard, who won the Super G, the Winter Olympics. And you can see Salomon have branded the phone up. So this is the first mobile marketing campaign, right? And already people are thinking mobile's interesting from a brand marketing perspective. This was the world's first smartphone, 97, the Philips Synergy. And guess what? It could read your faxes. Couldn't read emails. And this was when I got into mobile. So I used to work for a company that was in text messaging and spam and everything. And 99, it's like when Barbie gets a phone, you can pretty much be sure that everyone's got phones. So it became interesting from a mass marketing perspective. This is 2005 when mobile started to change, and there's a load of people here holding up their phone instead of their lighter at a Live Aid concert. And I just want to do a creative exercise before we get into the format. Can everyone hold up their phone for me, please? Hold it up in the air so I can see it. I'm going to take a photo. I'm going to tweet it on the Amia hashtag. Just hold them up. Thank you very much. Hang on, I've got the front camera. So, can I ask you all just to pass your phone to the person on your right, please? So I've got a question. How does that make you feel? Yeah, well, okay, pass them back. It probably didn't. So the point is, if they were all strangers in this room, if we were all strangers, you'd probably feel a bit insecure and feel like maybe you'd lost a limb or something, because mobile's become physiological, it's really personal. And if you're going to make stuff on phones, apps or offers or rewards or whatever, you've got to remember that feeling. It's a really good place to start. So if we can start with that feeling of insecurity or personalisation, then we're going to get something that people will love. 2007, again, only in America. This is the World Texting Championships. And then we get really pretty much to today. This is the iPhone 6 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. These two devices have got more, both of them have got more computing power than the entire Apollo moon mission, including all the computers on the ground and in space put together. So if you think that the capsule that landed on the moon ran on 0.5 K processor, and there's 1000 K in a meg and 1000 meg in a gig and 1000 K, this has got a 4 gig processor and 32 gig memory. So that's more powerful than all the computers on the ground and in space put together. So, you know, they're not phones anymore, right? So how do we work with all this change, right? We've just seen loads of change, and it's accelerating all the time. Well, this is what we're trying to do with New Nectar, with one of our partners, is rapid iterations, building things in market. But this is something which Google are doing for their mobile product prototyping. It's called a nimble process. This is the product design sprint, and it's 5 days. So you've got day 0, prepare, get the people you need. Day 1, understand, dig into the problem. Day 2, rapidly develop as many solutions as possible. Day 3, decide the best ones, and then hammer out a user story. It's a bit odd. We normally do a user story right up here. And then day 4, prototype. This is after 4 days. And then day 5, validate, that's show it to your customers. Which, it represents a massive change in the way of doing things, doesn't it? And you know, they're actually doing this. So a lot of apps basically are into rapid iteration. You change the app every month in the App Store. You know, we're trying to get to about 2 weeks is a good place to be. These guys are creating stuff in 5 days. Facebook iterates in a minute or under. Sometimes in a day it's iterating every like 15 seconds apparently, which is nuts, right? But, yeah. Here's an example of perhaps a product where they didn't do that. I think this was pretty much waterfall. It certainly wasn't given to customers when it was in development.
There we go, it's on. Okay, now to give it a command, all you have to do is say, OK glass, okay? Now what's your Wi-Fi password? Oh, let me see, it's Peacock. Okay. Peacock. Peacock. Password, Peacock. 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 Password Peacock. Isn't this great, Sam? And now if I was doing this on a phone, I wouldn't be able to talk to you like this while I was doing it. You know, Peacock. 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 And I'm on. No, I'm not. Should I go back? Go back. Almost. More. It's that easy. They look like totally normal glass.
So, perfect example of not following that process by the people that wrote the process. But Toffler, that book, Future Shock, states the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. And that's just all the process is about. You know, so in terms of the first part of the presentation, working with change isn't about changing. You know, it's not about, you know, changing. It's about integrating change into the way you work, into your sprints and learning and all the time. So you launch a product with one feature into the market and then you ask them, do you like it? Yes, you've done it really well. What would you like? We want this. And then you launch that too. And that's what Barclays did with Ping It, which was a remarkable banking app. They wanted to put 15 features in it, but they launched with one. So the next section is about format, and this is the creative bit. And basically, format can be hard to understand, or it can be hard to really work it out, to do it, but it may be quite easy to understand. Certainly, if you look at oil and watercolour in paint, you can see the difference, right? One seeps into itself and the other one dries with the texture, so you paint differently. But you know, when we looked at TV, many years ago looking at TV, the format was less apparent, and I think any new medium tends to borrow from the medium that came before. So to prove my point, I've got the first TV ad here. I'm going to play it. Does anyone know what the first TV ad was? Right. In the UK it was Colgate, but globally it was for Bullovar watches. It was in the middle of the baseball in 1941. I've got the ad, but I couldn't get the copy, you know, the voiceover, so I'm going to have to do that myself. And again, remember this idea of borrowing from other mediums, so here we go.
America runs on Bullover time.
I can't wait another 12 seconds. But that's it, right? So it blatantly borrowed from radio and press, you know, singularly failed to fulfill the potential of the medium, and it took kind of 10 years for, you know, advertising agencies to work out the format of television. And basically it's obviously based on the unique elements. You know, it has a screen and a speaker, so you make pictures with sounds, but you know, newspapers have a screen, it's the frame around the picture, and radio has a speaker, so they're not unique. But the thing about TV is that they're unique because they're together on that one device. So when you think about the format of mobile, it's just exactly the same, except phones have more sensors or unique elements. So, you know, you've got a microphone and stuff goes in, sounds, you know, touch screen, again it's an input, you've got you know, speaker output, you've got a camera input and so on, GPS, and there's like 30 to 40 sensors in a phone. So this is our format, and you know, we have to try and work with that. And I think, you know, I used to be very purist about format and say, if you don't use at least 2 of these sensors, it's not mobile, or if it can exist on a laptop, it's not mobile, you know, so you can take it that way. This was the first app I ever did, thinking about, you know, from this perspective. It's called the Fanta Stealth Sound System. The brief was, you know, Fanta is about more play, Coke Red's happiness, and, you know, Coke Zero's about the oh shit moment. I'll explain that in a minute. You know, it's Mission Impossible basically. But Fanta's about more play. The insights were, adults are the enemies of play and kids like to talk in code languages. And this is how it looked. You know, it was a long time ago, 2006 I think. And basically it was a sound system. I'll let it explain itself actually.
Fanta believed teens should have the right to play. This idea was inspired by the controversial ultrasonic alarms used to disperse teenage groups. These play high-pitched sounds which only young people can hear. When you get older, you can't hear these sounds anymore, as your hearing naturally gets worse.
Morning first, our main story for you this morning. The sonic device known as the mosquito, used to stop teenagers gathering near public places, should be banned. That's according to England's Children's Commissioner.
The mosquito, as it's called, emits a high-pitched noise which manufacturers claim can only be heard by those under 25. Critics say it's an ineffective way of tackling antisocial behaviour and that it demonises young people.
We turned this technology on its head. The mobile application we invented, the Fanta Stealth Sound System, enables the same teenagers to communicate between themselves using these high-pitched frequencies which adults cannot hear. The application has already generated considerable media interest. Directions to the website is on over 50 million packs in Great Britain.
I'm going to stop it there because it just goes on about how good it is, and it was one of those award entry things. And basically at the end of the video there's a nice piece and it says, just to make sure you understand the idea, we've been playing the stealth sounds all through this film. And those of you under 16 would have heard them loud and clear. And those over 16 would have heard nothing at all. But I guess nobody heard it. It was playing. Yeah. Did you hear it? Right. I thought Lennox is. Yeah. Who's the youngest person? No, it doesn't matter. HR. Hey. So this was the next one, right? This is called the Cleaner, and this was for Coke Zero, and the brief was the oh shit moment. Basically, Coke Zero is like Mission Impossible, and the TV ad had a girl and a boy on the job, in bed, right? And her dad came home and the door closed. Hi, I'm home. And the guy's like, oh shit. And he starts running around the bedroom, doesn't know what to do. Suddenly he drinks some Coke Zero and the chopper comes and it zip lines these guys in. I don't know if you remember it, and they kind of zip him out and clean the room. And we were asked to bring that to life on mobile. So, you know, with the Fanta thing, it could only exist on a phone that used a speaker. This was based around the idea that, you know, you could use the home. Well, I'll let it play for itself. It was more based around the format of the apps on the phone.
Coke Zero believe that young men should be free to behave like, well, young men. These young men live their lives through their mobile phones. Everything they say, think or do is recorded here.
Oxford University have done a survey of 6,000 people, and they have found 1 in 5 couples regularly snoop on each other's emails and texts.
These men need a tool to keep the evidence of their real life secret. So we created the Cleaner, a mobile security device that hides private content from girlfriends, bosses, and mates. For the first time, Coke Zero's The Cleaner gives young men fake screens so they can leave their phones lying around without worrying about people seeing their private content. You simply choose who you want to target, and then at the touch of a button, the relevant fake apps, photos, or text messages appear. If your girlfriend snoops at your phone, she'll be pleased to see apps like SeatMinder Pro, Do-Gooder Plus, and Football Schmutball. If she goes through your photos, what she'll find with the Cleaner app is innocent pictures of cute kittens, beautiful flowers, and fluffy white clouds. And if your girlfriend looks at your texts, she'll find fake messages from mates such as, sorry can't come to the footy, seeing that wonderful girlfriend of yours. If your boss snoops, he'll find serious competitive photos of a real winner, and messages like, stop working, none of us remember your face. Your mates will discover your hidden talents with apps like the 10-inch Club and Blonde Aficionado, photos of pouting babes, and texts from adoring admirers like, you are so funny, all my cute girlfriends want to meet you as well. If the person keeps on snooping, a fake error message appears, making it look like the phone has crashed and frozen. The Cleaner will be launched on the App Store and the Coke Zero website.
So, that was the old days, right? But the format thinking was kind of there. When the cloud came along, everything changed. And this is a little, I can't remember the date, it was probably 2010. And basically you could take all the heavy processing power off the phone and do it in the cloud. And a load of other stuff too. And that meant these sensors changed. So the camera became your eyes, you know, the screen becomes your skin, and the microphone becomes your ears, you know, if you're a brand or a company. And I've got some work here to show that. I'm just going to let this one explain itself because it does it better than I can.
Viewfinder image. Double tap to take a picture. Uploading. Awaiting reply.
Gets in his car and drives away far from all things I know. Goes out smiling, brings it in and brings it out. He says, bye.
I see a small stream in the foreground. Shape an next reply. To your left, I see red tulips blooming. There's a group of runners stretching and warming up. Uploading. Are from Australia and they look very fresh. I see a grapevine. You should get them.
Don't be afraid, just eat up all the
Uploading. Awaiting reply.
It will fade away. Don't let yourself
So I don't know if you could read the text at the back, what it was saying. But the really good thinking on that one is also around the format of crowdsourcing and the robot language. Because if you're blind, right, and I say if I'm blind and I keep texting Lennox saying what's this picture, you feel like you're hassling people. But if you know you've got 100,000, 200,000 crowdsourced people who are gonna say, you're not hassling them, because if someone doesn't want to tell you what's in the picture, they know they don't feel bad either because someone else will. So there's no hassle there. And then when the response comes back, it's also coming back from a computer voice. So you feel dislocated from what's going on. So I think there's loads of format around that. So this is a TV ad. It's only 10 seconds. No, it's not. It's an iPad ad, but it's an advertising version of the same kind of thinking. It's only 10 seconds long. It's for a test drive, so just have it. It goes pretty quick. So again, it's pretty remarkable example of format. And what I had to do is kind of show how we're trying to bring this through into the mobile offering here from a global perspective. And I've not done this before, and this isn't quite as developed as all the work you've just seen. But what I want to try and do is just give us a very quick and dirty demo of the global mobile product which we've been building in my team. So what will probably happen is I'll have to log into everything again. We'll see. But yeah, just give me a second. I'm just going to log back into my phone and see if I can connect. Doing that, just log in here as well. So, it's a shame. But, let's see if we can log in. Here's my phone, and basically on the top corner there you can see this S, and it says AMIA Alpha. So S is a store called Smith's that we've invented. It's like a Harvey Nicks, sells everything, all the different categories you can imagine. If I open up the app, I come to this onboarding page, and the thing about this platform is everything's flexible. So we've created a video here for Smith's, but we can quickly swap that out in a moment and change it for something else. And we've got some onboarding messaging here. What I'm going to do is just quickly log in. Oops. And I'm going to log in with the same. I just logged in with Facebook actually. And you can see the home screen. You've got your card at the top there. And if I scroll up, I can start to look at offers and rewards and things. But what happens with the card is that it disappears and it goes up to the top right hand of the screen there, that little green thing. And if I'm in get to the checkout, I can quickly hit that, and it'll show my card and ready for scanning at the till. And this app's got loads of features that are mobile. You swipe to the left to activate offers, and it's got quite a lot of stuff in it. But what I really didn't want to do is give a product demo of the platform. I'm just going to give you a quick look, because the point of the session today is about how to work with change, how to work with the mobile format, and then looking at the future. And with that in mind, there's one part of this product which I do think is relevant for the idea of the session, and that's something we've kind of invented, and it's called rich media interactive push messaging. So we need a new name for it. But if I close this app and I come out of it, it's got offers and rewards in it. And if I go into MemberWeb, which is our ALP back end, so this is the the website that the shop, the store would use to show offers. You can see I've got an offer here on iPad and it says I want it. That means it's not activated. If I go into our push messaging console and sign in, what I can do is I can very quickly just send something that can only happen on a mobile phone. So I've selected our Android group. I'm going to put Cupcake and Learn. Oh, it doesn't matter if it's spelled wrong. I can't see it. Cupcake and Learn offer. And I'm just going to get a little bit of code which we've written here from my desktop. And this is the iPad offer code. I'm going to set this up to send this offer into a geofence or via an iBeacon. And I don't have the beacons are upstairs, but I've set a geofence around the building of 100 meters. So if I press send the notification, you can hear the noise on my phone. We can change that noise, and the app's closed. But if I pull down the screen, this is the notification here, and it says Cupcake and Learn offer, and it's come to me because I'm in Cupcake and Learn. But the thing about it is I can press activate. If I press activate offer, what it does is it activates the offer on the back end in the loyalty platform. So I can now go into MemberWeb, which is the loyalty platform, hit refresh, and you can see that this iPad offer is now activated because it says stop offer. And my points total is 74,000, right? So if I quickly go back into the app, you can have a quick look at rewards. If I go into rewards categories, we can look at big nights out, for example, and I can buy some Lion King tickets. There's other types of rewards, but these Lion King tickets are 2,500 points, so I'm going to get that reward now, review my order, and now my points have gone down to 74,000. If I go into the back end, into the client's website, you can see the points have already gone down anyway. So it's real time, points, burn and earn. And there's a load more stuff that we'd love to show you, and I'm sure we will do when it comes around, but that's just a bit of a sneak peek at what we're trying to do here. So the last bit of the presentation is about where we want to go in in the year 2020, and what I've got is these 6 insights which we wrote actually at Ogilvy in 2008, and they seem to be super relevant today. The insights are hyper-connected hardware, hyper-connected software, contextual communications, the digital wand, mobile-directed media, and ideas of value as ads, and they don't make a lot of sense like that. What I want to show you is this is the 2008 illustration for hyper-connected hardware. So in this world, by the year 2020, all hardware is going to be hyper-connected. So this could be phones, computers, tables, cars, fridges, mirrors, everything. And this guy's in a bar with his mates. He's got a Surface computer as his table, and he puts his phone down, and the table says, "Hi, would you like to buy some drinks for Mike, Sarah, or Steve?" Or it says, "Would you like to book a cab?" And on his phone it's saying, "Would you like to pay?" And that's kind of where we were with hyper-connected hardware. What I've done, I'm not going to show you all the old slides because I've updated them for this session, and we've got, in our world, hyper-connected hardware could be about a guy going into a store because his wife's trying something on, but she's not actually wearing it because it's on the Surface computer, and he can see it on his phone as well. We can imagine how hardware might connect in the retail world. But then, what about the software? So if you've got hyper-connected hardware, it follows that software will be hyper-connected too. And by software, we're talking about profiles, accounts on Facebook, YouTube, Amazon, Google, eBay. And this guy's hardware is hyper-connected because his phone is connected to his telly, but his software is as well. And he's not in the market, his profile says he's not in the market for a Aston Martin, it's a James Bond film. We all know there's loads of product placement in James Bond films, but the watch fits perfectly with something that he bought recently on eBay. So his phone is pinging him and saying, "Hey, do you want to buy this watch?" So we've got hyper-connected hardware, hyper-connected software. It then follows that we can start getting contextual, because when you've got big data in real time, and we just saw real-time earn and burn, and location information, you can start to deliver contextual marketing communication. So this lady has been to a hardware store and she's bought a barbecue. It could potentially be a Asda or a B&Q or something at home base, and on the way past a grocer or a butcher, literally a few minutes later, because she's within the geofence, she's getting offered a free steak or free sausages for her barbecue. Now, it's not the best idea in the world, but we're not a million miles away from this now, because we've just seen, you know, the rich demo. So contextual stuff is really, you know, where we're going. And I think that the fourth insight is that mobile will become a digital wand. So, you know, it's a little bit like that now. Mobile's becoming the integrated centre of things. So here we've got three people walking past an ad of the future. And instead of the ad changing, you know, like in Minority Report, where it all changes, what's his name, that actor from Minority Report? Tom Cruise. And it's enough to give you an epileptic fit, isn't it? Because like all the ads are changing basically. What's happening here is the ad's the same, but these guys are getting all different stuff on their mobiles. So this guy's getting the latest concept car. This guy's on holiday, so he's getting a car for hire. But this guy, because the hardware's hyper-connected, software's hyper-connected, and he's in a contextual world, his car's talking to him through the ad. So he's getting his oil level, his brake disc level, and you know, the car manufacturer's trying to upsell stuff based on this hyper-connectivity. So the penultimate insight is that in this world, I think mobile will start to direct media, and that media could be contextual marketing stuff, or it could be anything. I did a campaign a few years ago for Amex in New York where we used to make these nice bits of art and you could fling them up to the screen in Times Square, and it kind of got us thinking that mobile's going to start directing stuff, and this guy's been to a concert at the Dome, and on the way out he's been given an MP3 as an ad, and he's chosen to play it in his car. But I mean, if anyone's got Spotify at home or, you know, used Apple Play, we're doing this already. You know, we're using mobile to direct media. So that's the fifth insight. The last one is that when we're in this world of hyper-connected hardware, hyper-connected software, contextual stuff, the digital wand, and mobile-directed media, you know, advertising is going to have to change, or marketing, or whatever it is that we do. And I think that ideas of value, we're going to have to give them those as ads, right? So this lady, her fridge is hyper-connected. It's an internet fridge. These kind of exist already. They know what's in them. They've got scales and scanners and stuff. And on the way to the supermarket, she's getting a message from Hellman's. And it's saying, you've got some chicken and pasta in your fridge with 1 day left. It's going to go off soon. Here's a great recipe and a points offer on Hellman's to help you make the most of your fridge contents. It's not the best idea in the world, but you know, it's early days. But this is the kind of thing. It's not good enough just to be contextual. We're going to have to give them ideas of real value. So that's kind of it. But what I wanted to do was just show you the last thing I ever made before I came here, which was for the Gadget Show. And again, this is working on the format. So the brief for the Gadget Show was, they're taking the show on tour around the world, and they wanted to do something that had never been done before with innovation. And we knew dual screening was really big. So I put an audio watermark into the ad, and I boosted it here because I've got a version 1 iPad, which hardly exists anymore. And it's got a really crap microphone. But the iPad listens for this audio, and then what we did is we played the world's first 360-degree dual-screen television broadcast. So you're going to see film on both devices, and the insight was, you know, what am I missing out on? People are addicted to social, and if they don't think they're getting something, they go looking for it. So on the TV screen, the actors walk off screen, and you can only follow them if you've got the app. So fingers crossed this is going to work, and I'm going to hold it up to a speaker and make sure that it does.
Hello and welcome to the Gadget Show. It's indeed the world's first ever 360-degree promo. Yeah, we need that over there. Thanks.
If you have downloaded and opened your iOS app during the next 80 seconds, you can break the boundaries of 2D TV and experience something completely new. But don't worry, you can also go online here afterwards and see what you missed too.
Awesome, but time is ticking fast. So tell us, what are we doing in the next year?
We're taking the Gadget Show on tour around the world.
Oh, so exciting. I'm ready. Passport?
Check.
Pants?
Check.
Socks?
Check.
Swimsuits?
Oh, good idea. Jace, which one?
I'm thinking red.
Nice! Red one in the bag, thanks. So what else are we going to get up to?
Well, Polly, we're going to be reviewing all kinds of really cool kits, a little bit like this stuff assembled here. In fact, all of that in there. Send it on. Thank you. And also doing some cool stuff like this. Can I just press the button? Is that that? Great work. We'll be spending this little lot on tech for some lucky punter. Move aside, gentlemen. Thank you. Polly, Cass. Oh, and we'll be doing all of that here, and in this.
Wow!
Loving the ninja, Polly.
He's super cool!
I'm not sure where he came from, but it does remind me that we're starting the whole shebang off in Japan.
Oh yes, but Jace, the plane.
Cool.
Start the engines!
Yeah, and cue the voiceover guy.
The Gadget Show World Tour. The new series starts this April on Channel 5.
Let's do this!
So that's the format thing. What we've done is we've videoed it all on the phone over there, and we'll send it to everyone to, watch if you want to see it again. Probably late. But that's it from me. Please join me on Twitter. I send loads of tweets all the time about mobile stuff. I hope you found it interesting and informative. Thank you, Scott.
Does anyone have any questions? I've got a question for you, Scott. Yeah. So you mentioned form and how, especially on mobile, its forming capabilities are developing all the time, and they're adding new capabilities. What combination of future capabilities do you see being really relevant for marketing and just a company like ours in general?
Well, it's not just the future one, but I mean, like right now, if you look at rewards and offers in the new Nectar app or the global app, we're using full screen imagery, right? And it doesn't have to be future things that are, really important. It's about making stuff that's right for mobile, from a mobile perspective. But I'm not avoiding the question. I think location is going to be really important. There's new campaign services coming through with the push messages and the interactive push messages. But on the back of that, people, if you get it wrong, they're going to kill you. So I know we did some research called the deletist consumer, where a high percentage of people who get the wrong push messages delete the app, and it gets worse. They don't just delete stuff; they cancel subscriptions, which is obviously revenue. So I think there's new stuff coming, but that doesn't mean we should just do it straight away. It's kind of, let's sort out the not so new stuff, from a format perspective. So it's really important that if we can all just go away, that feeling when I said everyone passed their phone to the person next to them and we all felt a bit insecure, we can start there instead of just putting stuff on people's phones, offers and that. It's like we need to get a bit more personal. I mean, our global strategy is making business personal after all. I think mobile's the place for that. I don't know if that's a good answer or not. That's a good answer.
You were to share what kind of companies you're talking to about the mobile platform at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking to our coalitions that we run. We're talking to potential new proprietaries in all the regions. All sorts of companies from financial, hotel, retail groups, and it's currently got ALP plugged in and live, and it's up. We're just working on Smart Button next, and it's looking pretty good. I think Nectar's looking really good actually. So they're two different things. More cupcakes.
Well, if that's it, thank you, Scott.
All right, thanks.